The Tale of the Autumn Bush Monster, or as I've later called it, the Bush Creeper, written by Shelley, Nightdreamer, Winters. There's something particular about an autumn night, should you ever be caught out by unfortunate circumstances and find yourself walking home alone in the darkness. Modern lighting sometimes are not accessible in small wooded areas. If you are indeed particularly unfortunate to have no other means of illumination apart from the dim moonlight percolating through the shifting clouds above, clouds which cast dancing, peculiar, and sometimes disturbing shadows on the ground as you pick your way slowly through the loose leaves. Autumn has other natural phenomena, such as the wind is rather on the gusty side, causing all manner of inanimate objects to similarly come to life. In the midst of a multitude of unobserved scratching, rustling and creaking, alarming sounds emitting from the tree branches, dead leaves strewn on the ground and bushes with accompanying strange shifting shadows and ominous lighting from the moon, a person with a nervous disposition might start to imagine something was lurking within, waiting to pounce at the moment you are least expecting. A long walk under such heightened arousal might leave a person threadbare and weary, without doubt also considerably jumpy, as the rustling noises now are seemingly louder than before. You might begin to hallucinate when dark shadows shudder and lurk as the clouds are whisked into ever more sinister shapes deep within the bushes. Of course, if one were to retell a confidant of somewhat sceptical nature, they would dismiss these imaginings as fanciful, a mere figment dreamed up out of superstition and tiredness. Someone with such an unsympathetic friend as this might not even bother to recount these experiences, which I had on one autumn night, when I was then unfortunate enough to find myself stranded and needing to walk through an overgrown stretch of bush. What I thought at the time would shorten my journey, a decision I was later to regret. Many a night I have walked the streets without incident. I preferred to walk at night because it was cooler. Long walks could sometimes cause the body to overheat, so the cool air would be welcome and reduce the stress of sweating too profusely. I had been known to walk for many hours, so I thought it was quite reasonable to head out from my broken down, secured car. At first I had the lamps to light my way. Traffic was infrequent at such a late hour, something else which I have found to be favourable conditions for walking. Less smog, less noise, more peaceful. You can hear your thoughts, make plans, hum tunes or recount past conversations and other such distractions to while away the time as you wander along at a steady pace. For I have never been a fast walker. Time is of no import. I have plenty of time, As long as I don't tire and suddenly need to close my eyes for a nap or an urgent need for sustenance of some kind. I did not, however, expect this endeavour to take more than 2 hours, and thoroughly expected to complete the journey without any bodily concerns to overtake me. After an hour of trudging along the main road, I cut onto a patch of grass which led at last to a thin stretch of bush. There were many such patches of undeveloped land. I imagine the whole street, before it was cleared and tarmacked, had looked just the same. The bush area was littered with dry leaves, broken branches, burnt tree stumps, spiky black buoys, tall eucalyptus trees, and other hot weather hardened bushes. It could be dense in some areas. At night, it would be better not to attempt such a trek, for there are snakes which might hide amongst the brush. Larger sections of bush might cause one to become disoriented and lost. I recounted the time I first gazed upon a painting of an infant crying in the bush. Many a time children would become lost. This particular strip was narrow, and although it connected 2 main roads, just turning in the other direction, its width prevented someone from ever being at risk of becoming permanently, irretrievably lost. The next developed section was not far away. It was also slightly lower than the surrounding suburbs. This strip was later turned into a highway, which explains why it was a long, narrow strip. My cat loved to go into this patch of bushland. I guess that's why I didn't think about the snakes. He always came home unscathed, so I considered the area safe to traverse. Once I had reached this patch of bush, I knew home was merely 20 minutes distant. I was on the home stretch and entered the area in good spirits. Apart from the inconvenience of calling a mobile mechanic to the car the next morning, I wasn't expecting that to be too much of a problem though. I suspected it was an electrical issue and would be easy to resolve. The mechanic could drive the car to me and I would bring them in turn to their parked vehicle, or they could pick me up and take me to my parked vehicle. I wasn't concerned. An inconvenience. A chore, undeniably, but nothing too vexing. I could handle it. My enthusiastic spirit did not last, however, as I suddenly became aware of unusual sounds coming from the impenetrable darkness. The moon had momentarily gone behind a dark cloud, so being in an area which had no street lamps made it difficult to see. I blinked hard as if this would clear my vision. If anything, it made dark patches dart before my eyes. One such patch of darkness, I swear, looked like elongated clawed fingers clasping at the branches. Above this, there was a solid shape which looked like a grotesque head, with, as if that would even be possible, darker orifices that could be construed as the head's eye sockets. I blinked hard again, thinking I was just looking for patterns in the darkness. But then the dark cloud shifted and the shape became more easily discernible. Now, you might think that shock would have such an impact on the heart that it would increase a pace. I swear to you that my heart stopped in that second of recognition. I still would not believe my eyes, but I took in a sharp breath, and I swear my heart stopped. I was frozen to the spot, not knowing how to react. When it comes to predator and prey, movement may be necessary, and indeed, quick response would be life-saving. But also sometimes movement can be the worst thing. A cat might notice a mouse only when it scurries to safety. The eye is drawn to moving objects. So some prey choose to freeze. Some curl into a ball or play dead. These thoughts did not enter my head at the time. I merely make excuses for my behaviour, which might seem at odds with the situation. You may wonder I did not immediately take flight. Isn't it advised running from some animals is the worst thing you can do? A bear, for instance. They can easily outrun you. I personally would prefer not to put myself in the situation of having to deal with such an animal. No, the only predators in Australia are snakes and spiders. Well, in my neck of the woods, I didn't need to concern myself with dingoes or crocodiles. I suppose a male kangaroo could be dangerous. I just never considered them as a threat. All the time I've lived in Australia, I've never once caught sight of a snake, so I simply forgot to be wary of them. And kangaroos generally kept to themselves. What I perceived before me was no dingo and no kangaroo.